Good evening, good people. Welcome to another 203K Tuesday. I'm your host, Aaron, the house person, and this is the place you come to find out everything you don't know about the 203K loan and learn how you can use that loan to help create, build, and sustain generational wealth. All right, so like always, I talk about your starting lineup, right? Those players on your team, because you are the GM, right? You're the owner, the GM, and the coach. But the players on your team who are going to help you successfully navigate the 203K process. So again, just to recap, that point guard being your realtor who is facilitating things amongst the team players, making sure everybody stay involved. That shooting guard being your lender, the person who's going to shoot those bank shots, right, to get you that money to get the renovations completed. And if you're buying, get it purchased and completed, right? That small forward, that consultant, the swing person, that swing man that's going to go between the lender and the bank. The lender and the contractor, right? And they're also going to go between you and the contractor, looking out for your interest and the bank's best interest along the way. Also, that power forward being the contractor, the person in the paint that's doing the heavy lifting and getting the job done, helping to bring your dream, that write up on paper into actual fruition, right? Something you can turn the key and actually walk into. And then, of course, lastly, but surely not least, is that five position, the center, the title company. Just like the center is the person protecting the paint and the rim, the title company is going to be protecting your interests, making sure that the owner can legally sell you the home with no problem, making sure there are no clouds on title, no broken links in the chain of ownership, and that it is, of course, conveyed to you free and clear of all liens and encumbrances. So again, that's your starting five. So today we're going to be speaking with Ms. Frances Ortiz, and she is I think they call it MLO, right? Yeah, MLO for ViG Mortgage in Puerto Rico. So let me bring her in. Hey, Frances, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good, and you?
I'm doing fantastic. So I'd definitely like to thank you for coming on to the show. I'm glad that, I guess, since time changed, our time zones are aligned. So
yes,
so,
that's good. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead, because typically I just jump right into the questions, because a portion of what normally happens at the beginning of interviews will be kind of answered throughout the portion, the questioning portion. And then on the back end, we'll just talk about you, your business, and pretty much anything else real estate related. That's cool?
Sure, sounds perfect.
All right. So let's get right into question one. Do you know the 203K process from start to finish? And could you explain it?
Yes, I definitely work the 203K loan. So I know the whole process. I first start when I'm interviewing my borrower, potential borrower. Usually the client is looking for a property. The 203K loan is very common here in Puerto Rico. So when clients come to me, they already have an idea of what the loan is for. So they usually ask me right up front, the first questions they have, talk to me about the 203K. So I explain the differences between a 203K and a 203B. And I always explain to them the importance of the contractor and the role he plays in the whole process. I explain the requirements that a contractor has to have, because people here think that anybody can do the repairs, a handyman, their parents. I explain that all the requirements that the contractor has to have. And they definitely want to talk numbers, but I explain that since I need to have sales price, the repairs, the cost of the repairs, to talk numbers, but I try to go into details on the contractor's requirements, on the calculations for doing the loan amount, how that goes, like sales price plus repair cost, plus contingency, plus the cost of the 203K, and then you sum all that and give the 96.5, that's your base loan plus MIP. I try to explain to them as easy as I can, as simple as I can, how we calculate the loan, because they have questions. Usually they think it's 100% of sales price plus repairs. So I do explain that they do need down payment, and the 203K has additional costs. So that's something that I always talk to them about. And then once they have the property, I can then give them a detailed quote based on the repairs that the property has. But it's all very important for me to tell them that we work with estimates, because borrowers always want, from the beginning of the process, which I understand, they want exactly to know what their payment is going to be, how much they're going to have to bring to closing. And you know that from the beginning, we don't have all that, like, to the last penny. So that's something that I try to explain to them. And as we go on, because I've had loans that the contractor gives us an estimate of repairs, but when the appraiser goes and we get the appraisal report, there are more repairs that have to be done.
Mhm.
So that changes the whole numbers for us.
So it sounds like you've done this loan before. I'm assuming that's a yes.
Yes. I've done it quite often.
That's a good thing. So, so
Mhm.
how long have you been just in the business in general of originating loans and working with the 203K loan?
In the mortgage industry, I've been since 2001. Then I left the industry for about 10 years, and I've been back in the mortgage industry since 2015. And since I've been back, I've been working 203Ks since day one.
Okay, cool. And as far as like additional certifications or training, is not saying it has to be, but just asking, do you have any additional like trainings or certifications?
I have, I'm a licensed MLO, and I have a master's degree in project management, which helps me with the whole project of managing a 203K with all its phases and the planning phase and everything.
Okay, cool. So what is, because I know, so you, the MLO, I've heard it, but I don't hear it as often, I guess, of this way. So as far as like your NMLS, what is that number?
My NMLS, it's 1555459.
Okay, and that is for those folks who don't know, that's the National Mortgage licensing system, right? That's always
yes,
right.
Yes. So that's what identifies me in the NMLS. That's my number. And then the MLO here in Puerto Rico, we all have an MLO. That's a mortgage license originator. We have a separate number.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I guess for those who may be curious, what would that number be?
At 619.
619. Okay. Cool. All right. So how many 203K loans would you say that you have closed over time? And I know it varies, but what's like the average time?
I usually have at least once a month. I close 203Ks at least once a month.
Okay.
It's not that I originate 203Ks from the beginning. I have a lot of loans that we don't start as a 203K, but when the appraisal comes in, there's quite a lot of repairs to be done. And I don't know in the States, but here in Puerto Rico, we don't close loans subject to repairs. The repairs have to be done before closing. So if it's a lot of repairs and the seller is not willing to do them, which is usually the case, because here in Puerto Rico, sellers usually sell as is, and the borrower doesn't want to do the repairs before closing, we convert the loan to a 203K. So I may start my month with all just my regular 203B loans, but in the process, if we get those types of loans that require repairs and the borrower wants to convert it into 203K, that's usually the case. So I definitely have one at least once a month. Every month I have one.
Okay. And as far as the ones who were scheduled from the beginning to be 203Ks, what would you say like is a rough time frame to close from once it's under contract to actually getting to the table and signing?
It's going to depend a lot if it's a 203K limited or a standard, but an average, let's say 45, 60 days.
Okay.
And the one that I have, which was like the most difficult, was a standard one, and it did take us like 90 days to close.
Okay, table that. We'll come back to that one.
Mhm.
So does your company have like a dedicated 203K department or processors?
No, we all work, all MLOs, we work the product, and all loan processors are familiar with the product. We all work the product. Mhm.
Okay, good. So that let's go back to what you previously said. So what would
Mhm.
be the most complicated 203K loan that you completed? And it sounds like maybe this 90-day one might be a part of it, or maybe not.
Yes, yes, that was a complicated one. When the 20K, when we use the standard one, it requires more documentation. We have to bring in a consultant, and the communication between what the appraiser says in the report, what the consultant is saying, and what the contractor, they all have to align together. So that can take up time because we start the loan with the contractor's report of repairs and costs. Okay, then comes in the consultant, and he comes in and wants more detailed on material costs, which sometimes here contractors, sometimes they're not into detailing a lot of cost of material. So they have to go ahead, like in that loan, exactly, he had to give us a whole new detailed repair cost. And that took him some time. It was a lot of repairs. And then we have the appraisal that comes back with a whole bunch of other stuff. So then we have to, that's I would say it's the difficult part, to get all those three parties aligned. And when you have everybody okay with the end result, then you have the whole other process of the qualification of the borrower's income and everything.
So for this particular one, it was just really just trying to get everybody on the same page and get
Yes, on the same page, yes. And that, I remember that contractor didn't have a lot of experience with 203K. That's something that I always try to talk to my borrowers, try to get a contractor that knows the product, because the appraiser is gonna want, and the consultant, they're gonna want everything in a specific format and detailed in a specific way. And if the contractor doesn't know a lot about the product and what can be done, and we're gonna go back and forth.
Okay, so having the right team members on your team initially will help as far as saving you time along the process, because everybody has an idea. Okay, this is what I need to do. It needs to look like this, and I need to get it to them, by this date. And this, that synergy is created, and it expedites the process a little bit.
Exactly. Plus, that property was a foreclosed property. It had a huge pool that needed to be fixed. It had a lot of repairs. So that, of course, complicated the process even more.
Do you remember roughly anyway, what was the construction budget?
It was like 70,000.
Okay.
Something like that. Something, a number near that.
Cool. All right. So are you currently working on any 203K loans?
Right now I have one that I had to convert because the appraisal came with a lot of repairs, and what I explained earlier, the borrower doesn't want to do it before closing, so we're converting it to a 203K. So I explained, you can't go to any contractor. It has to be a contractor that has the knowledge of the product and the requirements. So she's in the process right now of scheduling the appointment with the contractor, and so he can give me the report, and I'll just convert the loan to a 203K.
Okay. And I know based off of what we discussed, it may be a little difficult to answer, but as far as like consultants, could you identify maybe, a couple of 2 to 3 who are like actively in the field now, out helping folks with the process?
I could get you his name, because I try to work the limited 203K. And we don't use consultants in every 203K loan. I know that some appraisers, the last 203K standard that I did, the consultant was also an appraiser. So I can definitely get you his information later on. But we usually try to since we try to keep it simple, because the borrower and seller want to close as soon as possible. So we try to keep the repairs at minimum, so we don't have to bring in a consultant. But we do definitely have consultants. They're usually appraisers or contractors, but I can definitely give you that information later on.
Okay. All right. And so if someone were to ask you, hey, I like what I've heard. I just want to kind of check some more things out. Would you have past clients or current clients that they could call and just kind of get a feel of how the process is working with you as far as the 203K is concerned?
Sure. I think that borrower, that the one that was the really complicated loan, he could definitely be reached out at the end of the process. He was really happy because we were able to make it work. It was foreclosed property, and the bank wanted to close because he had a contract that was going to expire. But we definitely we worked as a team, and we were able to close it, and he was really happy with the outcome.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I mean, that is the question portion of our conversation. So I'd like to dive into something that you're going through right now, which I think is great. I can't wait. Well, hopefully this summer, where I'll be going through this process as well. But you are not only someone who helps people navigate the 203K process, you're actually a proponent because you're going through that process right now. Can you talk a little bit about your experience and what exactly you're doing?
Sure. I closed 203K at the end of August. It was a foreclosed property, got a really good deal, but I had to renovate it, the roof, the bathrooms, floor, kitchen, paint, everything. In terms of the process, since the product, I know the product, so I just went for this contractor that I know he's really good. I'm with the 203K. Enjoy the process. It's great just having to have your home with your taste. You get to choose everything, your cabinets, your tile kitchen. The process is wonderful when you go through it. I would suggest that that's something I learned, communication with the contractor, even though I was fully aware of that. But sometimes you even miss certain points, like just to give an example, you even have to discuss where you're going to have your furniture. I had in my mind where my TV set was going to go. And I had in this huge wall, but that wall didn't have an electric outlet. And when they're finished, everything's painted. They had to do all the electric work new in the house. I'm visualizing the living room where the sofa's gonna go, and I'm like, but I have no outlet here. So then I called a contractor and I was like, listen, I don't have no outlet in this wall. And he told me, but you didn't ask for an outlet. So I was like, I'm sorry, I missed it. I had to tell you that I was going to put the TV, and they had already put in all the electric work, so that they had to break the wall again. They had already painted everything. They had to do that again. So no little detail is small. You have to explain everything. But the process is great, and you have to be patient. I'm right now in a house. There's going to be dust. But if you know that you're going to construction work, it's going to turn out great.
So basically just making sure that you have something to spell out some of those smaller things, or maybe even do the staging, the virtual staging, so you can kind of see where your furniture is going to be where, and say, hey,
that's very important. I didn't think of that. And that's when I was like, the house was already painted. And the electric work was a lot of work. That took them 3 weeks or almost a month, because they had to do the whole electricity of the house new. So I had broken floors, broken walls, because they were putting everything in brand new. And then when everything is finished and everything is painted, I'm like, oops, that was like a construction blooper. And when I told him, he was like, you need to tell me everything. And I was like, well, that's living. So you definitely need to talk furniture with your contractor.
Now, the reason you chose to go 203K, was that because you just wanted to experiment, or did you just?
The main reason for me, every borrower has this product is not for everyone. I also explained this to every borrower. This is not for everyone, because you need to have patience to buy materials. So not everyone. I have borrowers that are like, no, I'm not up for construction work. That's not for me. I just want to move in, have my house ready. If you're up for construction work, well, this is a product for you. Definitely. When you go, I wanted to make myself, it was very important for me to have it like my taste. I wanted everything my taste, and I wanted a really good mortgage payment. That for me was was like something really important. So here in Puerto Rico, we have a lot of foreclosed properties in inventory. So during the pandemic, well, this house, I found this house, really good price, a really good deal, and I was able to close on that. So for me, I didn't mind doing construction for a couple of months if I was going to have a really good mortgage payment. Gotcha. And I would have a house to my taste.
Right. You get to make your selections. Okay.
Yes.
So as far as what was the projected time as far as the construction period? Did they say, what, 3 months?
No. It was going to be more. It was like they had to demolish. Remember, they had to demolish the whole kitchen, the whole bathrooms. No, it was like more 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
And it got a little bit delayed because of the electric work. Took them a lot of more time than they thought. Plus, you have here it rains a lot here in Puerto Rico, so that also sets you a little bit back.
Right. So I was going to ask, did you have any, were you pretty much on pace, but you said it was a little delay because of the electrical work?
Yes, the electrical work took them a lot of time. They had like to break all the floors. When I went to the house, I went once a week. It was a mess. I really didn't know that the electric work required like to make such a mess of the house. That was the most, I know that was the most difficult part.
Did you get the mortgage payments rolled into the loan or decided not to do that?
No, I didn't do that. No, I started my mortgage payment a month and a half later after that I closed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for folks who, because you said there's quite a few foreclosures so for folks who may be up here in the States and who've been down to Puerto Rico, hopefully they have. If not, they definitely got to go because it's a wonderful.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely. So for folks who may be thinking, you know what, I've been hearing great things about, Puerto Rico, and I've been wanting to visit. You know what, I may even want to live there. What can someone up here do to position itself to get down there and maybe even take advantage of, a 2 or 3K loan and potentially get a duplex or a triplex or a quad or something like that?
Sure. Well, first of all, people in the States can take advantage of the real estate prices here in Puerto Rico, which are much less. Okay. That what you see here in the States. Okay. That's in terms of you can have a much lower mortgage payment if you come live in Puerto Rico. You have the advantage right now with the whole pandemic. A lot of people have been working from home. So this is something that employers have discovered that can be done without the job being affected. So I've had a lot of borrowers that with a letter of their employer stating that they can telecommute and do their job from Puerto Rico, we can definitely do a 203K loan, okay? Me with working with the income they have over there in the States. We would need a letter from the employer stating that they could perform their job from here, from Puerto Rico, and we could definitely work a 203K loans.
Wow. So you're saying if because of the pandemic and employers have been kind of shifting things and kind of getting used to people working from home, if somebody who's here has a letter from the employer saying, hey, I can work remotely anywhere, then you guys can use that for them to buy property in Puerto Rico?
Yes. And the borrower would have the advantage of, number one, moving to Puerto Rico with lower real estate prices. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of inventory with multiple units. So maybe you want to buy a house that has 2 units or 3 units. We can work up to 4. Of course, the borrower has to live at least one of the units. You can use the 203K to renovate all the units, okay? And you live one and then you can rent out the other. Like here, Airbnb business, it's ridiculous. All the business that people have here with Airbnbs. So you can definitely come do the 203K, renovate the units, rent out the units that you're not gonna live, have an additional income there, and still be able to have a better mortgage payment living down here.
I mean, that sounds attractive.
You get to live in paradise.
Man, that sounds great. So what about folks who say, you know what, I'm not really too sure about the whole Airbnb thing. Is there any way to just get like market rented?
Long term, sure, you can rent it long term.
Okay. Okay. Now as far as housing is concerned, so like, you know, the vouchers, Section 8, things of that nature, is that something that people can tap into down there as well?
Sure, of course, yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, I have a lot of borrowers that have the units rented out, planning, Section 8, yes.
Okay, so just to kind of recap what I heard, you can get a letter from your employer saying you can work remotely, and with that letter, they can take a salary for the States down to Puerto Rico, live on a lovely island, renovate a property up to 4 units, and
Yeah.
you can put either Airbnb mixture of
Or
Section 8
long term, yes.
or market or any other tenant that you want in there.
Whatever you wish, yes.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
That's
Sounds
amazing.
good.
Now, as far as like the construction process, the one that you know went through specifically, I know you mentioned something about materials. What was the delay, if any, as far as like, you know, getting things to the island or around the island? How much of a delay would you say?
Oh, yes, because since with this whole, yes, with this whole pandemic, most of the materials gets shipped here from the States, so that was kind of delayed. But if I would say something that the contractor couldn't find, which I couldn't even believe it was the operators to open the windows. Those couldn't be found anywhere. So the windows were delayed a bit, but he was able to pull it off. I know that he struggled a bit to find some materials, but that's the important thing when working with a contractor that has a lot of experience. They have contacts and everything, so they'll find it. It can give them trouble, but
Okay,
they'll work it out.
So having that experienced contractor, somebody who has multiple resources that can, you know,
Yes.
if this well is dry, they can go over here to check this well. That one's dry or not.
Yes, my contractor knows the whole Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So he would tell me, I would call him, how are you? And he's like, I can't find this, I can't find that, but I found somebody that knows this other person that is gonna find it for me. So.
Okay, good deal. Okay, so that sounds like somebody that people need to know.
Yes.
Because he has resources.
Yes, he has resources.
Okay,
yeah.
Good deal. So, well, I guess as far as like multi-units in general, would you say it's a fairly good amount there, or will people have
Yes,
to
there
like
are.
work?
Yes, there are. Yes, there are a lot of a fair amount of properties that have various units. It's something that Puerto Ricans often do to have an additional income.
Okay, so multi-units are there for the picking. All right, and that's one of the things that I've been trying to stress to folks, that the loan allows you, whether it be 203B or 203K.
Yes, we can work on as long as it's not more than 4 units.
Right. So it allows you 4 units. So if you don't need an extreme amount of space, then go ahead and maximize the loan, get up to 4 units if you can get it, and have those units paying your mortgage for you.
Exactly. And something that's good about having more than 1 unit is that if you're tight in terms of qualification for the property because of your income, the appraiser can put in the property proposed projected rent of the units, and we count that towards the income.
So helping the person qualify.
Exactly. So just to give an example, so people can see, like, I have this person that earns $3,000 a month, for example, but the units can rent out in $2,000 in total. The appraiser is going to put that. So I would add the $2,000 to the.
Okay, good deal. Now, I read somewhere about opportunity zones in Puerto Rico. So what does that mean for the person who's trying to buy? How does that help them?
Since Puerto Rico is an opportunity zone, you limited, usually a limited to is a max $35,000, okay, depending on the repairs. Because if you need to remove a wall, that's a structural change. So even if it's $10,000 in repairs, but if you have to do structural changes, then we have to do because number stone.
Okay, I think my service may be failing me. Can you hear me, Francis?
I lost you.
Uh-oh, can you hear me now? Uh-oh. Francis? Uh-oh, are you still there? Hold on, having some technical difficulties, folks. Francis should be popping back in any second. I have to get her to repeat her answer, but I believe she said the entire island of Puerto Rico is an opportunity zone. And then it kind of faded out from there. But listen, hopefully you guys heard what she said in regards to the multi-units. Okay, she's coming back in. But the fact that you can get up to a 4-unit and save a unit for yourself because you have to live in one, right? But then rent out the other 3, whether it be Airbnb, whether it be someone with a voucher, market tenant, whatever the combination may be, that's an option for you. Hey, Francis, welcome back.
I'm back.
Sorry about that. So the part about opportunity zone kind of blanked out. Can you review that again, please?
Sure.
You said the island was opportunity zone.
Since Puerto Rico is an opportunity zone, you can do a 203K limited up to $50,000. Okay, usually the limited 203K is up to $35,000 in repairs, but with being an opportunity zone, you can do a limited with up to $15,000 in repairs. So if you have a really big house, okay, it's still you have to limit it to non-structural repairs. But if you have a really big house where costs can really increase, well, that's a great alternative for you.
Okay, so instead of 35,000, they can now go up to 50 on a
and
limited.
Still do a limited.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so that's a great thing. So that means you got a little more wiggle room to get certain things fixed, as long as you said, like you said, as long as you're not doing any type of structural repairs, you can go in there and just create the house that you want. Okay.
Yes, exactly. That would be something really good for a 4-unit property, which maybe you need to remodel the 4 units completely. So that would be a great option.
So what would you say is like an average price for, let's just say a 4-unit, maybe close to, and I don't still know. Only thing I know is San Juan, because that's where I was. So I can't really speak to the other cities, but I know that's, a major destination. So like maybe the suburbs of San Juan, not too far, or maybe directly in the city limits. What would you say roughly a 4-unit can, roughly cost? I know
you can see them from starting 170 up to maybe 220.
Okay, and the 4-unit, that's a pretty good
4-unit. That's a good price.
That's a really good price. And do they have an options of multiple bedrooms? So meaning the 4 units have 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, or is it like
Yes, okay. Definitely. The important thing with the 203K and multi-units is that all bedrooms have to have ventilation. I had this loan where they did 3 apartments. It was a 2-story house with 1 unit on the second floor and then 3 units on the bottom. But the apartment, the unit that was like in the middle, the bedrooms, they didn't have windows and they couldn't be done because they were like you would see the next unit. So that we couldn't work as an FHA 203K. So that's the important, that everything has to have ventilation.
Okay. Okay. Huh. Man, that's amazing. I love
But
it.
it's you have a lot of possibilities with the product.
I mean, it really is. My brain is really spinning. I mean, so I've been talking about Puerto Rico. My wife and I, we went there for our 10-year wedding anniversary,
Okay.
and absolutely love our time there. We actually left. I want to say it was about 2 to 3 days before Maria hit. So we definitely got out in time. And I definitely feel for those who were affected, and and all the devastation.
Hard for the island.
Yeah, it was definitely, watching it from here, it was definitely tough to see, especially knowing how pretty the island really is, and having gone through that devastation that lingered much longer than it should have. That's a subject for another conversation. But but I'm glad to see that things are rebounding now, and people are starting to get busy, because I checked the endorsement summary, and the Caribbean is the #1 area for 203Ks year to date. So since January of this year, you guys are rocking and rolling with 203Ks.
Yes, and we're gonna have much more. We're gonna have much more because from what I see, remember that since the pandemic, foreclosures have been detained. So as soon as everything starts going again, we're gonna have a lot of inventory. And here in Puerto Rico, at least, the 203K is a really popular product, just because there's not a lot of new construction going on if you compare it like maybe to the late 90s or early 2000s. So there's not a whole lot, but if you want something new, it's gonna be hard to find it. So you have a lot of foreclosed inventory. So the 203K is really popular because you get to have, what I said, a comfortable mortgage payment, plus you get to renovate your house to your taste. So it's something that's really popular here.
So basically, if you want something new, you're going to have to create something new.
Yes.
And that's where that 203K will come into play, and of course be able to help out with that. So do you guys have a lot of folks who are using it to refinance and renovate as well?
It's something, that it's something that people don't know that they can do, because a lot of borrowers just think of the 203K in terms of when they're buying, but they forget that you can do a refinance and use the product as well. And you see here a lot of people that don't know that. So when we talk about, and when we get a lot of borrowers, now that interest rates were so low, a lot of people were refinancing their properties. That was a moment that we took to just give them the opportunity to do renovations on their home with the product, because some borrowers are inclined to use a product to purchase, but they forget or don't know that you can do it as a refinance.
Very true, very true. And I tell folks, if you have like aging parents, or maybe you're aging yourself, and you need to make some changes in your house, it's a perfect product for that. You can create a space where you don't necessarily have to be wrestling with going up and down the stairs every day, because you just created yourself some oasis on the main level. So when you walk in your home, comfort's right.
Or you can do another unit. Let's say you're going to bring your parents to live with you, or vice versa, and you need to construct another unit. You can definitely do that with the 203K.
That's right. Yep. ADU. Make a whole separate situation for whoever needs to utilize it. So
exactly,
that's a great thing. So Frances, for folks who say, you know what, I mean, I really like what I heard today. I didn't know that I can buy a property in Puerto Rico like I buy one here in Maryland, DC, Texas, California, Oklahoma, whatever state that may be. I didn't know that, but now that I know, I need to call Frances. So
yes,
how can folks get in contact with you? What's your social media?
They can definitely email me at fortiz@vigpr.com, or they can definitely text me at 787-344-4407.
Okay. So you said F Ortiz.
Ortiz.
ORTIZ at
VIGPR.com.
Okay. VIG, say that again.
VIGPR.com.
Puerto Rico. Okay. So VIGPR.com. Okay. So if you guys are looking for Frances, that's how you get in contact with her. Been in the business for a while, down there helping folks with 203K, going through the process herself. So she's a living testament.
Yes.
You know, that testimony is like, hey, this is what you're going to go through. Make sure you have that conversation with the contractor so you have that extra outlet where you want to place the
Yes. Talk furniture.
Right. Get an idea of where the furniture is going to be oriented, so that way you know, okay, need outlet here, need outlet there. Okay, good deal. So, Frances, I definitely thank you for coming on to the show. I'm hoping that I'm able to send some people your way. If not anything, myself being one of them, because definitely got to get something down there. But yeah, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your information, and yeah, just thank you.
Thank you. And if you want.
Uh-oh. Did you fade out again? Did I fade out? Somebody faded out. Uh-oh. Okay, you back. I don't know if it was me or you. What was the last thing you said?
I don't know. That if you need more information regarding what you need here to come to live to Puerto Rico in terms of requirements to get a loan, I'm definitely available for that.
Okay, much appreciated. Again, thank you, and thank you all for watching. That's all I have for you this 203K Tuesday, and I'll see you next week. All right. Thanks, Frances.
Bye. Bye.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and ring that bell. Thanks for watching.